I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook baby.
Bacon.
Yeah. Well, I was saying, I don't know what you guys do out there. You're on the fringes of society, and really, the more of you. When I say you, I mean Californians, not white Mexicans.
Yeah.
But satanic Hispanics.
Yeah.
And we were
Speaking
talking.
of, there's a goth thing, satanic thing I might go to this weekend.
Of course there is.
It's been a while since I've been to. Well, actually, no.
Are you still doing it for research?
I'm doing it because I'm getting paid, but for this one, yeah, I'm doing it for research though. So
yeah, that's like me when I went from like a jokingly what in tarnation guy to just a what in tarnation guy. I just say what in tarnation now. We were talking about before we started recording South Park and Randy. There's that stretch. I haven't watched that. I mean, I've watched like maybe 2 or 3 episodes in the past several years. But when I watch it religiously, there was that stretch when Randy was just the center of every episode. Yeah. And it was great. It was like, because he didn't start like that at all, like that character. And we're talking about when he was in the boy band.
Yeah, we are. Well, Ben was he was serenading me with his dulcet tones.
It. You know you've got it. You've got it, because that's what you've got.
All right, that's good. Hey,
on that note, and that's our show. Theme song. We have a Patreon that you can. Anyway, what should we start with? Should we start with DEI coming for the left?
Yeah.
Oh baby, did I love this!
Real quick, just before we jump into that, actually, because I think it'll be a good way to kind of preface this. Are you familiar with Brianna Wu? Brianna Wu?
Yeah. What? Yes. Was she Gamergate or?
Yes. Yeah. She was part of that. She was ultra wokey for a while.
Right.
However, in recent months.
Yeah,
she's kind of like she's undergoing like the Anna Kasparian thing of like, whoa, this is getting a little too extreme, even for me. Where it's like, and she's been getting a lot of shit lately.
What's her I don't know, impetus or like what's the cause of her turnaround, of her heel turn?
Well,
to heterodoxy.
I know. it's the whole it's the whole Israel-Palestine thing. Because how dare she take a reasonable stance of it's possible to criticize Israel without being anti-Semitic, and it's possible to express compassion for Palestinians while also acknowledging that Hamas is pretty bad. Right. How dare she kind of like dive deeper into into this complex issue? That's been the thing that's been making her go. Oh,
that's the latest iteration is Israel-Palestine. I mean, that honestly for me cut off a lot. Like I lost a ton of respect for people on the left who I very much respected. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I was wearing rose-colored glasses before. It's like, no, you're celebrating murdering Israelis, like, and also making excuses and the symbolism of, and it was not just fringe people, it's the obfuscation of the facts. It's people like Brianna Joy Gray, who I had a lot of respect for, and even the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, I was very like happy with them when they were protesting our funding of Ukraine. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, you guys are like, it's one thing to say like, we shouldn't be necessarily arming or bombing, but we're not. Like the children, it's another to be like, no, Hamas are freedom fighters. Right. Like those are different things, and there's a distinction there that's really disturbing. And that really, and those are just off the top of my head. There's a bunch though that I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, like this is really like your brains are scrambled here from intersectionality, from oppressor oppressed, white being bad and all of that, which doesn't even make sense in this context. But they somehow ascribe that because I heard a great term recently that I'm stealing, and I told the person I'm stealing it. It's called the omni cause. Have you heard of that?
No.
The omni cause is like when Greta Thunberg shows up to like Greta Thunberg, you know her, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, she was like an environmentalist kid who did the "How dare you" at the UN, and she's like her thing was environmentalist, and I think she's Swedish. Yeah. And when she shows up at Palestine, and it's like, so Omnicause is like everything just on that side of the political spectrum comes together. It's like the ultimate intersectionality. It's Palestinian freedom, it's environmentalism, it's queers, trans, Black lives matter. It's like all of it just even though these have conflicting interests, and like the most anti-trans people in America are Black statistically, and like Hamas would cut the head off of the Queers for Palestine, the heads off the Queers for Palestine, but it doesn't matter because that's the Omnicause. It's just everything in one, and I think it's to their detriment, which I'm fine with. But it's like, no, you have to be more tailored to be taken seriously. And anyway, so I love that term.
Yeah, no, that is a great term, and it actually tying this back into Brianna Wu. There's some crazy trans activist chick on Twitter who I'm assuming that's who they are. I went to their account, but I was blocked, so I'm
You're blocked.
But yeah, from the activist person. But I guess they got into a feud with Brianna Wu, and then they were accusing her of like bigotry and all the usual crap. And so Wu, she released like a private like conversation, like, look, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is exactly what's going on the left, and it ties into the Omnicause thing. So, Will was trying to make. She was trying to say, hey, look, I'm pro-trans. I'm in favor of what you guys are. I share all of your guys' goals. I'm just saying it's getting a little too crazy, and you guys are tying trans activism into socialism and anti-Americanism, and so it's like you're not going to win over moderates, and so it's like like with gay marriage, it was like an incremental thing, and like I know it's frustrating that it takes a while. I'm summarizing the whole conversation because but I think it's best that we work within the system to make these little gains. And then but this other person was like, I see where you're coming from, but I just don't think it's going to happen. We have to take down the whole system, and it's just like,
Oh, I heard a great. So I was watching this clip, and then we're actually going to get into the articles here. But I was watching this clip of, I believe it was in Canada. It was a Venezuelan woman. She was a legitimate refugee, she said, and approached obviously a bunch of like white kids at a university, maybe University of Toronto, and they had, a spread of communist regalia and literature, like not, I don't mean like literally Lenin and Stalin and stuff out, and they were in the kafiyas, of course, because that's the Omnicause right there. Like kafia, like these people are not the communists actually. The Soviet Union actually invaded places like Afghanistan and parts of the Middle East. Anyway, so and the woman's like, you don't know what you're talking about. This, like, you live in like one of the freest countries in the world. We starve. We don't have rights as authoritarian. And of course, the kid, one girl's just like, having a sardonic kind of smirk on her face, or not sardonic, but just like being, just like smiling, just like a blonde girl. And then the white boy is like, just, let's just take it down. Let's just take it down a second. And then eventually he goes like, look, the revolution's inevitable. Doesn't mean it's going to be successful. And I want to be like, that is not a good selling point. Like, if I'm going to be, I swear to God, that's verbatim. He goes, the revolution is inevitable. It doesn't mean it's going to be successful. And I'm like, dude, that I'm not getting involved in a revolution unless I think it's going to win.
Right.
It's like, but it's like, so they can't even platform their own ideas very well. But again, that was just another example of the Omnicause and how it's like these kids have no clue. Again, doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to present communist literature. That's the irony of the West. It always has been how they sell like, Che Guevara t-shirts and shit like that, but who's also super racist, by the way. But but it's just, it's the same kind of, intersectionality is the best term for it, but Omnicause is my new favorite one. So you can look forward to hearing that on here. So anyway, getting into a topic that I'm excited to talk about. We don't have to talk about for a long time, but, and I don't want to say like I crafted it. I did hear this on on Breaking Points, and I'm like, oh, it's a great topic for us.
Yeah.
I stopped listening to the Crystal episodes of Breaking Points. Oh, that's another person I just lost.
Yeah, same here. I thought she was like a good person, like a good progressive, but she's kind of
fucking broken, man. Like just so broken from. She's like basically telling kids like. She was basically using an argument like it doesn't matter if you ruin your lives and you're spending 70 grand a year at Columbia, like you're on the right side of history. Like one, not necessarily true at all.
Yeah.
Two, like who are you? Like you're an established, very wealthy person who has a home and a family and a job and all that. Like that's so champagne socialist type thinking. They're just telling kids like, oh, well, when you're on your deathbed, you'll be happy you got arrested by the NYPD and smashed into an academic building and begged for vegan options to be ferried to you through the fence, like, which is hilarious, by the way.
I know, I saw that. It's hilarious. I love it.
I would have so much more respect if the fucking revolutionaries weren't such pussies. Like if they were actually like hardcore revolutionaries, I would have so much more respect for them. But they're like, we don't want, we need gluten-free, vegan, free-range, cage-free, food options for our revolution. It's like, anyway. So on a similar note, the NYU is so I got this topic from a Ryan and Emily episode from Breaking Points, which I really like them. Again, Ryan's very, very left wing. Like I think he's even like an open kind of Leninist or something. I don't know, but he's just so much more tolerable and actually like makes like substantive arguments instead of just ad hominem attacks like Crystal does. But so here it's NYU is requiring students, it says, violated policy during recent protests over the war in Gaza to complete written assignments on character, morality, and ethics, according to documents reviewed by Gothamists. So this is from 2 days ago? Yesterday. This is from yesterday by Matt Katz. And again, it's in Gothamist, which is a New York City centered publication. So basically, I mean, this is so, dude, and why I want to bring this up is this is so DEI administration, like bullshit, anti-free speech. And it's, the assignments include a 5 to 6 page reflection paper to be written by students in a specified font with prompts like, what have you done or need still to do to make things right? Students are asked to list who was affected by the incident that led to the disciplinary action, including society as a whole and property. Like this is a product of the DEI administrative bloat of our universities that conservative kids or heterodox kids or even center left kids have had to deal with for many years, and this patronizing administrative crackdown that has you write reflection papers on wrongthink, and here it's being used by the same administration against the Omni, like the Omni cause. And I think it's hilarious because I think the title of this episode should be, DI comes for the left. We told you so. Like that, like it is like we told you so. This is just another example of how the machine that the left-wing DEI, and again, not all of the left, again, Ryan Grimm is very critical of this. Like he's DEI skeptic, far left-wing, but the kind of soft pussy left that, put into place all of these safe space type trigger warning, machinations that this is where it leads you is now you're writing reflection papers so you can graduate and be invited back on campus for your summer job. Literally, that's part of this. Like they will not be, I think some of them will be able to graduate. A lot of the charges were dropped by the NYPD because, of course, why would anyone actually go through with charges in New York City? They're not really about prosecuting crime there. But it's like, well, you got past the city hall, but you're not going to get past the administration of NYU.
I just want to read this section here. Several students who were instructed to complete the assignments told Gothamist they will file grievances or appeal the requirement, saying it amounts to a forced confession for actions they see as entirely ethical. A spokesperson for the university, which is holding its main graduation ceremony on Wednesday at Yankee Stadium, said reflection on the experience is a vital lesson. You remember that kid who he was at the he was a conservative kid, but he's a very smart kid, and he was part of like there's like the pro-life marchers, and then there's like the Native American guy. Remember that whole thing?
Oh yeah, Nick Sandman.
Yeah. Or no, I mean, I'm not forgetting. There was some kid who was part of like a concert, or he might have been like a school shooting survivor. Anyway, so some bright conservative kid who got accepted to Yale, but then somebody dug up how he used the N-word when he was 15 or something, and then they made him write a letter apologizing, and then they still didn't let him in. They still rescinded his. but now it's like, the university, there you got to write an apology. That'd be funny if they did the same thing. It's like, okay, if you want to graduate, you got to write this apology letter, and like, actually, we're not going to let you. We're not going to let you graduate.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't Nick Sandman. He went to a small school in Kentucky, I believe. That's where he's from. But I think it was a school shooting survivor. It might have been one of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, or it might have been one of those. But that sounds vaguely familiar. I didn't realize that they didn't let him in.
Yeah, and he ended up just working for the Daily Wire, and it's like, okay, cool. Like,
that's the pipeline. Yep.
Exactly. It's like when you shun, a young, talented mind like that, then okay, you're just funneling them right to the right. So,
yeah, man, I like, obviously these schools are always going to exist and probably at their same kind of prestige level in certain circles. And also they're going to exist because a lot of people don't realize, like, elite universities make a ton of money off of foreign students, off of international students who pay full tuition, who are, the kids of rich Nigerian doctors and, English, Pakistan, whatever, from the Middle East, from Europe. So they'll always have that income. But like Gen Z is actually the first generation to have a turn in going to college. A lot of colleges are closing, and even now, like, certain federal judges aren't hiring clerks from certain schools like Yale and Harvard and other, like, I think there's, that's just the people who are saying it out loud. I think there's kind of a quiet sort of, like, groups aren't going to be hiring from certain schools because it's not worth the headache. Like, they're not actually learning shit. They're just doing activism as a minor, and they're going to, like, cause more HR problems than their talents.
Yeah.
Why I tweeted this today. It's like, why aren't endowments taxed? Like these are just hedge funds that teach classes in the end, and they have billions of dollars. And I don't just mean like Harvard, Yale, Columbia, like schools that you wouldn't think of as being like super wealthy,
right,
may have like at least $1 billion endowment. Like, why is that not taxed?
Right.
And Republicans did, I think did submit a bill or are drafting a bill but it's not going to pass anything. It's not going to get enough, because in the end, a lot of these Republicans are children of these schools and, are the old guard and still hold them in high regards. But I'm like that, even like Tom Cotton, I think, is the one who, some cracker from Arkansas, of course, who's gonna tax them. and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I don't get why. I learned, like, they also don't pay property taxes. Like, my friend who went to Penn kind of exposed that to me, not like to the world, but to me. I was like, wait, they don't pay property taxes? Like, that's crazy. Like, this isn't some, bingo game at a convent, like, nonprofit. Like, these are huge organizations, right? And I just don't get why they're not taxed, especially when they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and that's like create people to help our society and to be engineers and doctors and lawyers. I mean, I guess they do, but they seem to be really just like tarnishing their own reputation. I do think that's why there is this kind of somewhat of a crackdown on this shit.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they did that for all things. But another one so we're going to have a little DEI centric episode until the last topic. The North Carolina, their schools, like the Board of Regents. I think it's for all the North Carolina state schools, at least UNC, which is a very prestigious state school. It's considered one of like the Southern Ivies. They just like abolished their DEI program.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. And it's all going to go, basically it's going towards safety, which means the police, which is hilarious. And if you were around in 2020, where it was like abolish the police shit, and now it's like, no, we're abolishing DEI and giving the money to security.
It's so funny. So our mayor in LA, Karen Bass.
Yeah, she's a dumbass.
She is. She absolutely is. And she has been gradually increasing like funds and resources for the police. Just, so it's just like
every city.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like, oh, I guess 2020 didn't really work out for us. So I guess let's go back to some semblance of law and order.
Yeah, dude, every city that did defund their police has like Minneapolis, Austin, they've like refunded them by a lot. Yeah. Like not just to those previous levels, but to higher levels. Dude, Philly, the mayor of Philly is like, I'm not even exaggerating. She's bringing back stop and frisk.
Oh,
she's calling it, which was like there was a huge thing in New York City, which did work about stopping a lot of crime. It also was unconstitutional. And I'm not a supporter of the just open stop and frisk, because that was just people being like, you're black, like turn out your pockets. Like that's not okay. But she's a black woman, of course, like first black woman mayor of Philly, whatever. I don't know if that's true, but she's like hard on. It's like, where was this? Yeah. Like she's calling it, I think, lawful stop and frisk. She's like turning the school year all year, like making it like there's no summer break. I think elongating the hours, and none of this stuff really gets kind of talked about on the left anymore. How all of these cities are implementing. I know Mayor London Breed in San Francisco is trying to do stuff, but dude, like you tell me, you live in LA. Parts of LA, at least what I see on the internet, look like fucking Gaza. Like what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's a weird allocation, or rather misallocation of like resources, because I was in Beverly Hills this past week and it's clean and it's pretty fucking safe. But it's funny, it's just like, but like 5 miles south, like in downtown Skid Row, it's like it's like fucking Mad Max. So
but I heard Skid Row has been shitty for a while, but it used to be like a block or two, and now it's like the entire neighborhood.
Yeah, it's fucking huge. It just keeps growing. So I don't know.
Is that around that bookstore you want to take me to?
It's within makeout distance of it, but it's not in Skid Row, so
I'm gonna get stabbed in the back of the head because I want to buy a novel,
and then you'll be fingered after
you finger me. Yeah. Oh, stabbing wasn't enough. Come on. God damn it. All right.
But I know it's insane. Some neighborhoods are very clean and safe and have a lot of security, and others are just ignored. So it's
what's your neighborhood like?
It's not bad. It's okay.
I'm gonna be there in 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's actually getting better. It's getting more gentrified. So, which I know is a controversial thing, but it's like
not kind of. I'd rather have gentrified than people like shitting on the sidewalk and slicing each other with machetes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, and this would sound racist if I wasn't Mexican, but Mexicans are not very good at keeping their neighborhoods clean. So
got that.
No, I mean, here's the thing: it's like so many of them are just so antagonistic to any. Like, I'm not like a super like pro police guy. Like, there are a lot of police reforms that I'm in favor of, but it's like, getting rid of the police was a stupid idea, but like so many neighborhoods, largely Hispanic neighborhoods, are so antagonistic to any sort of police presence. So it's like, all right, well, now wealthy white people who you hate are moving in and they're taking over. So it's like, because you guys let your kids get involved in gangs and you don't clean up after yourself. So I don't know what to tell you. It's either rich white people or a fucking war zone. So
your rent's going up. Congratulations.
Exactly.
I hope you like boba tea.
when just before we moved to the house, our realtor was we were asking her questions about like how safe the neighborhood was. And she goes, "Oh, I was doing a showing here at night, and I was going to my car, and it's an alley, and 3 figures started walking towards me. And at first I got a little scared, but when they came closer, I realized, oh, it's just 3 young girls in their yoga pants, like with yoga mats, because we have a yoga studio right down the street. So it's
your realtor said that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, woman, I'm going to assume she was a crackhead. I can't prove it in a court of law.
Yeah.
But she did say she'd cut our heads off when we were recording last time I was there. There was a gate between us.
Yeah.
That's good. But she was tweaking.
Oh, yeah.
Have you run into her recently? How is she?
I don't. No, I think she might be dead somewhere in the gutter. I haven't seen her. So
your neighbor. I felt very safe to me when I was there.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent neighborhood overall.
Yeah,
it's very hipstery. It's actually gotten more hipstery. So yeah, it's safer. Now.
The thing is that's the irony. It's like it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, so it's dangerous. So then white progressive people move in because they can like open a yoga studio and put up an intersectional flag and feel good about it and be like, oh, this is a community and Medgar Evers lived upstairs or some shit like that. Yeah. And then the neighbor gets a little safer and then there's nothing to worry about because it's much better.
Yeah.
So then these white progressives then get on the boards and community whatnots, and then they do dumb shit like try and change policing and pressure. If something happens, like in Brooklyn, there's that homeless guy who like killed a dog, and everyone took the guy's side instead of the dog owner. It was the Black and Reported did a good episode on that and a follow-up, I think. And then it gets dangerous again. Yeah. So then they'll leave. Yeah. And then they leave like the minorities who were there in the first place to fend for themselves. And they're like, wait, we never wanted the police to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's like the cycle of like urban like cities now in America.
Well, what's funny is that because more businesses have opened up here, because it's like last time you were here, it was kind of at the tail end of the pandemic. It was like, so there were still a number of restaurants and cafes that were closed and they've opened now. But it's funny. So now there's more private security, for the businesses around, which is nice. But at the same time, I would not be surprised if these newer business owners are very anti-cops, like very anti-police, but they can afford private security. So
yeah, that's what I've heard. I heard people in Austin, businesses, they're like, I was just listening to this, and someone went up to a guy who's, in like the fucking vest and the gun and the whole, like he's going to go, invade Mosul. Yeah. And someone's like, "Are you a cop?" He's like, "Nope." You're not a cop? He's like, "No, I'm security." Yeah. Like, dude, you look like fucking G.I. Joe. And there's these guys and I think that is the way it's going to go. It's going to be, okay, well, I think we are past this. There was definitely a point where it was like, the wealthy neighborhoods, they're going to just hire private security. They already did, a lot of them already had it. And then it's like, all right, we're just going to give you more shit to protect us. But then we're going to vote in a way that screws over like the lower middle class and the poor people who actually don't hate the police. Yeah, and we're okay with it. And it's, and even these loudmouthed crit members who might be Black or Latino or whatever, it's like they don't live in those communities anyway. Yeah. And they're in very wealthy neighborhoods, and they act like they're mouthpieces for majorities of these populations that are actually like, no, we want safe streets. Yeah. We work really fucking hard for our community and for our property and for our children. And we maybe literally traversed rivers and oceans and deserts to get here. It's like, we don't want these gangs to like run, because like it's just a power vacuum every time. Yeah. Just whoever has the guns and the chutzpah to like take over a place, they do. It's never just idyllic. Like that never fucking works.
Right.
So anyway, how do we get on that?
Police and
your neighborhood. Well, anyway, so NYU, it's very funny. And I would pay money to read some of these essays.
Yeah, I hope somebody leaks them, man.
To be honest, that'd be really great. So yeah, here people are like, I mean, it bothers me so much because like, dude, we've been saying this shit, saying this for so long. It's like, so they're talking about what they have to write and who's deciding this. And it's like, it's written by corporate business people who are trying to teach students about morals and ethics. It's so ridiculous that they think they have some kind of moral superiority when many of the students will point to capitalism as part of the evil here. It's like, dude, you have been supporting the like capitalistic groups that have been pushing their morals when it was Black Lives Matter and when it was trans pride this and abortion that, and all of these things. And now just the one time that the groups that are in Israel's right to exist, and they're now pushing back against It's like you're not the victim here. Like you have been on their side for every other thing when it suited your needs, but now it's like now it all of a sudden switched on you, and you can't say like, oh well, they're just trying to force their morals on us.
It's I'm sure you've seen variations on this meme, but it's like when you're on the side of the entertainment industry, academia, the media, the tech sector, you're not part of the resistance.
Yeah, you're not, dude. You're the fucking boring Democrat establishment. Like that's what you are.
Yeah.
And you're lame and you're no revolutionary.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on.
Yep. You want to do the Facebook and Nike or the former?
This will be quick. So this is from a very, very skewed right-wing biased website called the Department of Justice, United States Attorney's Office, Northern District of Georgia. So, a real like Daily Wire, Breitbart type website here. It's not at all, actually. It's just a pretty standard press release. So it's this is from the 13th, so 3 days ago. Former diversity program manager at Facebook and Nike sentenced to federal prison for $5 million fraud. Long story short, Barbara Furlow Smiles, who was a former DEI manager at Facebook and Nike, has been sentenced for stealing more than $5 million based on an elaborate scheme involving fraudulent vendors, fictitious paperwork, and cash kickbacks. I don't know how elaborate that is. That seems pretty standard fraud to me, but fine. I think it's giving her a little too much credit there. She did the typical like hiring family members and like hiring family members, but also like not disclosing that certain businesses were run by friends and family, giving them business, getting cash kickbacks, straight up just like putting her. Remember when it was a joke when it would be like some obese Black Lives Matter activist yelling at white people, and then she'd like have her Venmo handle there. There was shit like that. Like she just put her PayPal and Venmo stuff and basically steal money. And what I love about her, so I'm a fan of these kind of people. I love swindlers and white collar crime people. I'm being sarcastic here. I love them because she did it twice. Yeah. She didn't stop. And that's what I love about it is she basically got caught. I think she basically got caught at Facebook, and maybe they didn't report her or something. They just fired her. She was caught for like some sort of impropriety. And then she went to Nike. So again, it's not like she was, stuck waiting tables. She then went to Nike, the small startup, and did the same thing. And they got her. We did it, Joe. They got her.
It was because we're such fucking prophets.
I'm just trying to look at. So she also caused Facebook to make payments for her benefit to others who did not pay kickbacks. For example, Furlow Smiles caused Facebook to pay nearly $10,000 to an artist for specialty portraits and more than $18,000 to a preschool tuition. She was responsible for supporting DEI initiatives, developing strategies, and hosting DEI events. She was primarily responsible for a Juneteenth event in New York during her time at Nike. So really just like the standard kind of encapsulation of this whole apparatus being a fraud. The Black Lives Matter founders just stole millions of dollars off of the faces of dead children, off the effigies and pictures of traumatized women, mothers, poor people, and they didn't give shit. I mean, people don't realize like this is all kind of gone under the radar, but these people are they're being sued not by right-wing groups, but by the mothers of some of these children that were killed by police. And this whole thing was just a grift, and this is just such a glaring example of that, where it's like these people think they can do whatever they want. It's the right side of history thinking. It's, as Camille Foster puts it, who is Black, who says this, it's the hiding behind the melanin force field. And, just the audacity to just steal twice from two major corporations and think that you can get away with it is just, cherry on top of the cake of this whole fraudulent machination that has been really running its wheels since, for at least like a decade, basically. We really talked about it from the 2020 perspective because that's when it hit its apogee, but really this has been going on since the later days of the Obama administration. Accelerated with Trump and then accelerated with 2020. So again, and I'm not saying like this is I am dunking on it because this is a pernicious and destabilizing and divisive ideology that I'm against. And everyone should be against, and tons and many, even majorities of Black people and Latinos and Asians and gay people and everyone who's on that side of the intersectionality scale that do not all agree with it, like they are against this stuff. And it gets shoved down their throats by corporations and these coordinators who are just swindlers in the end. They're just snake oil salesmen who put on a holiday, a Juneteenth holiday, which I was very much in support of the government doing. I do think we should celebrate Juneteenth, and then stealing like hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, actually, $5 million.
Yeah. What's funny because, this is from a group that is so vehemently anti-capitalist, and yet they so often embody the worst elements of capitalism, like the sort of lying, cheating, the corruption, the government support, like the sort of it's like crony capitalism. Isn't there a term for an industry where it's like it didn't exist before until someone kind of created the need, like kind of fabricated the need for it, where it's like, there aren't enough Black people here. I guess we need to be more diverse. We should set up a whole department to bring in more minorities. Like, isn't there a term for an industry or a job?
Like not cottage industry.
I just looked that up. That's not what it means. That's not what it means. But like it's like we saw with COVID where it's like, now we have to have like a COVID people. Like if you want to go back to work, you also have to check in with the COVID officer, make sure you're wearing the mask and this and that. Where it's like, okay, this didn't exist before, and you're just making up the need for it.
Right.
Anyway, whatever that term is, that's that I think.
I can't think of the term, but I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, it's a lot of organizations do this. I think we saw a lot of this with what used to be gay rights groups, that then, like gay marriage became the law of the land, and it wasn't like, all right, well, we're done here. Like, no, they had to find a new thing to maintain their importance. So they latched on to trans issues next. So, because you have to do something or else you lose funding. And it wasn't like mission accomplished because there always has to be the next thing. And I think that's why so many of these groups get pushed farther and farther left to the margins. They become more divisive and cannibalistic, and there's infighting because it's always like, well, what's the next frontier? And a lot of that is alienating to the vast majority of Americans. And that's why you have people and people fall for this trap all the time. I do think the right wing does too on right wing issues. I think that happened very much with abortion. Definitely. Left wing, it's like, I remember like Bill Maher made this point where it's like Democrats, maybe like Elizabeth Warren should be up there, or who does have some great views on like antitrust and corporate. I do agree with her on some of those things.
Sure.
But it's like, how about you talk about that instead of like subsidized transitions for inmates? How about like that's not the most galvanizing cause, is like making sure that the taxpayer pays for hardened criminals to have their transitions while in prison.
Right.
Talk about how like Wall Street's fucking over everyone instead, and not that Bill Maher would say that, but like how about more relatable issues? And that's just because politicians, some are far too online. I think that happened to DeSantis, unfortunately. And that happens, I think, more on the left, but also on the right. And they just kind of get lost in the culture war bullshit. But I also want to say, and she was, I mean, this is no joke. This is like federal pound me in the ass prison.
Yeah.
And
nice.
She did get, obviously not for her, for men, but she was sentenced to 5 years, 3 months in prison, to be followed by 3 years of supervised release. She was also ordered to pay restitution in the amount of almost $5 million to Facebook and $121,000 to Nike.
based on fictitious charges and fraudulent invoices. This cracks me up.
Yeah, man, these federal judges, like I wish, like that's one thing that the Republicans and Trump really, focused on that a lot of people don't realize is he appointed a lot of federal judges. So you see a lot of these criminals just like walking on the streets because these are like bullshit city judges, state judges that some are elected or some are appointed by these like terrible mayors, as we've seen, or governors, I should say, probably more accurate, but the federal judges don't fuck around. Yeah, which is good because I'm tired of, as much as I give shit to, because I follow New York City crime and politics a lot. Like as much as I give Alvin Bragg and his prosecutor's office shit, rightfully so. Like there have been some cases where he is trying to prosecute, and the judges like let these people go. They just they either don't do bail when the prosecutors are asking for it, or they don't. They give bullshit sentences after the prosecutions prove their case. And it's like, man, we can't win. Like we, as in the people, we can't win if we have prosecutors who don't prosecute crimes. Like we saw like Ches Boudin and your guy out in what's his name? Garcon? No, not Garcon.
Yeah.
Was it Garcon?
I think so.
Gascon, that's it. Gascon. Who they tried to recall, or he won real. Like what the fuck you guys? That's why I don't get is what are you guys doing?
I just forgot to vote. I think.
But you're one person, and it's like it wasn't even that close. I don't think, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, I know.
Austin did the same thing. Like it's these Soros-backed prosecutors, and it's like you guys like they do have to be elected. You could just not vote for them.
Yeah,
and you still do.
I know. Well, at least in San Francisco, they got rid of that Chelsea guy, right?
Ches Boudin. Yeah, no, he got recalled, and I think even Seattle's done a better job. It's not good, but I think like they elected a Republican. I'm not even kidding, because the Democrat was insane. She was wearing like Mao Zedong dresses and shit.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Portland's still a shit show, but you would think LA is like big and diverse enough that people would be like enough already, but no, you still vote in this guy. I don't know. It's crazy to me, but
all
right.
Next time I'll vote.
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
You should always vote.
I should.
Vote. Is it easy for you to vote in person? Do you vote in person?
I did once.
Yeah.
It was for governor or mayor.
Yeah. I like going in person. I know you should vote by mail if you think you might not do it. But I don't know. There's something I like about going to, but I also live in a small town, so it's like not a problem. I don't have to deal with issues that you see in other places. All right. You want to take this one?
Yeah. So this is #blockout 2024. Why are people blocking celebrities on social media? On May 6th, celebrities flocked to the steps of New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art, swathed in jewelry and fineries, as hundreds of pro-Palestine activists protested just miles away. That same night, Israeli airstrikes targeted Rafah, an enclave on the border of the Gaza Strip that was instrumental for transporting aid and supplies and a refuge for Palestinians among the ongoing war. Labeled Celebrity Blockout 2024 and Digitine, or the digital guillotine, the movement is a protest against celebrity culture.
That is so goddamn cringe.
It is. It's unbelievably cringe. Specifically, blocking people of influence who have not yet used their power or privilege to take a stance on the humanitarian crisis that has devastated millions. I like when celebrities don't talk about politics.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about.
I love this. I love that. I love that you sent me this, because again, just like the other topic with the NYU students, it's like now you guys want to block, like after they were saying the right thing, riding with Biden and 6 feet to stop, weeks to stop the spread, and vaxxed, get your vax, and Fauci, Daddy Fauci, and all that shit. It's like, well, now that they're quiet about Palestine because Israel has a right to exist, I'm going to say it, get trouble, because now a bunch of them are being quiet. Yeah. I'm not saying that the studios and the agents
and the weather
and the wet, I'm not saying that all of the Israel has right to exist people. I'm not going to say it, Joe.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it.
But yeah,
You can't get me to say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. I love that now they're turning on their celebrity darlings who, are always saying the right thing and doing the videos and the Black Lives Matter and in this house we believe. But now that they don't want to support terrorists fighting, terrorists killing Israelis.
Yeah.
Again, obviously it's oversimplification. I know it's more nuanced than that.
Sure.
They're saying like, why do we care what celebrities have to say? It's like, where were you for the past 30 years of celebrities just being like rote Democrat bullshit left-wing stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But and also it's just like, why celebrities are dumb. Like,
yes.
Why would they should not be considered thought leaders? And just because they say something that you agree with, that doesn't mean that it comes from an informed place.
Yeah.
And it's like there are so many fucking celebrities, and all of them have to agree with you at the same time on the same issues. And so like this is not activism. This is slacktivism of like, oh, I'm gonna block some random celebrity. That's how I'm gonna use my voice. It's like they don't care. Yeah. You're not a revolutionary.
What I hope happens with I do think this has opened a lot of people's eyes to the excesses of the crit left. What I hope happens, I'm not expecting a bunch of celebrities to all of a sudden be like, yeah, maybe those right wingers have some points. I'm more hoping for just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like just shut up now about all of this stuff and just lie in your piles of money in Bel Air and Beverly Hills and Brentwood and just shut up about all of it. And I think that might be the best case scenario here, because it'll never be enough for these people. You could be right on 9 issues in a row and do the post and do the thing in your bio or whatever it is, put the symbol in your bio. But the second you're not lockstep on one of them, you get digitined or whatever it is.
Yeah, this shit cracks me. It's funny because I don't know, up until 6 years ago or maybe even a little further back, I thought celebrities were I was like, man, what a bunch of moral degenerates, just partying and drugs and all this drama and shit. And now it's like, actually, go back to that. I prefer you to just be a dumb, obnoxious, wealthy piece of shit rather than trying to position yourself as an activist.
Dude, it's then what's the point of making all of that money if you're going to get down in the muck with the rest of us?
Yeah.
Go live your separate life. Go rape children on islands and leave us to it. Obviously don't do that. That's a joke, but a lot of you did anyway.
Exactly.
Go to your fuck islands and have diddle minors. Leave us, just stay out of what actually impacts us, because it doesn't matter how much Gavin Newsom raises taxes on you guys out there or in New York or whatever it is. You're gonna find ways out of it. You're gonna always have plenty of money.
Yeah.
And none of this matters to you.
Right.
And it's very telling that they're quiet on this stuff, because while they are stupid, don't get me wrong, they also know where their bread is buttered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to make me say it, and I'm not going to, Joe. You can't bait me into saying why they're not speaking out against Israel.
Yeah. But it's also just these people really think that they are on the right side. I hate this phrase now, but on the right side of history. Hashtags ranging from hashtag celebrity block list, hashtag let them eat cake, and hashtag blockout24 are being used to galvanize people in the online boycott. This has not really caught on. I've not seen this on Twitter at all. No. So it seems like Mashable is the only one who wrote about it here.
Yeah, well, this is a TikTok thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It also takes aim at influencers. Much of the movement began with reactions to an ill-advised video from influencer Haley Bailey Khalil. I don't know who any of these people are. Posted a video of herself at a Met Gala pre-event, lip-syncing to the alleged Marie Antoinette quote, "Let them eat cake," which appeared in Sofia Coppola's 2006 biopic of the French Queen.
Yeah, I love that because like one, like if there was ever a time that the best kind of juxtaposition of celebrities being out of touch with the rest of us was the pandemic, because you had like, not that Nancy Pelosi's a celebrity, but just her like showing her gigantic fridge that just has sorbet in it, or Schwarzenegger smoking a cigar in his hot tub, being like, "Got to stay inside to save lives," and it's like a bucolic, beautiful backyard, and it's like, and probably literally drinking champagne. And also at the Met Gala, this always happens every year at the Met Gala because it is absurdly, like, that's the point of it, is to be this garish. And what I loved, and the best example of this was the Met Gala. They probably didn't have one in 2020, so I'm assuming that was the 2021 Met Gala, where it's like all the celebrity, and so this was like deep into masking and craziness. Biden had just won, and he still had like a high-ish approval, like a pretty high approval. Like, so this was like in the meat of the Democrats won and they're right, and Dr. Fauci's good, and all this stuff that's completely flipped, or a lot of it's flipped, and you add the help fully masked, like add attention to all these decadently dressed celebrities who weren't masked and didn't have to do anything, like didn't have to do anything different. They got to live their lives normally and hobnob and kiss each other and talk at close distances, where the help was starkly in the back, just like what are those they reminded me of like those Tiananmen Square soldiers or whatever they are, those clay figures, that they found in China, just add attention, ready to, clean up the shit of these people. And that was when people like me were saying, let them eat cake and off with their heads and stuff like that, which I do still fully support, unless they make good movies and let them live. But the talentless ones, that's fine. But here it's like, because they're not speaking out about a war that like really doesn't involve us, like it does and it doesn't, like it's not our soldiers, it's not the Iraq war. It's like
taking our money.
They're taking our money. And at the same time, like what I love when people are like, Israel doesn't need our weapons anymore, it's like, okay, fine, how about we don't give it to them? And then it's like, my view is, let Israel protect themselves and do what they want, and they have to deal with international backlash if they're committing humanitarian issues or whatever. I'm pretty pro-Israel on a lot of this stuff, but then we don't have to deal with, like, don't take our money then. But like, then we can be like, all right, at least we're not funding this shit, which like that's my eloquent position. But again, it's just like, I hope I'm glad that in a way it's waking up a lot of these like young left-wingers to celebrity culture and criticizing it. And basically, I like to wrap this up. I like the fracturing in the supposed what's that term I'm looking for? Better word for groups, but these kind of like that Democratic base group of like young people and celebrities and corporations and universities and all this stuff. And there's lots of fraction going on where people on Twitter who are like a lot of like right wingers are like, guys, stop let them, like, the Columbia admin and the protesters at Columbia, they're not on our side. Let them fight each other. Who gives a shit? Like, let it happen. You know what that's going to do? That's going to take people like the janitors, the custodial staff, the workers who got kidnapped and false imprisoned and attacked. They're going to start voting for us. Those other people, they were going to vote for us anyway. Those people who are coming more and more to our side, the term I hate, people of color, lower class, who like, they're going to start voting for us. It's actually going to create some like more shifts in the realignment. It's actually really smart. It's like, why? Like, don't stick up for Columbia's admin. They're not going to stick up for you. Like, that's a good point.
It's sort of a reductio ad absurdum type of thing, right? Where it's like,
stop with the Spanish. Speak English, please.
I was speaking Chinese there. It's like in a debate or like in mathematics where it's like, okay, like, so this is your proposition. Okay. Run with it and see where it goes. And it will go to an absurd place. Like, just let it. And for me, I'm getting to that point now where it's like, with all this DEI crap, it's like, let these things, because so many of them they just, if they don't get exposed, and prosecuted, they'll just eat themselves. So it's like, yeah, just let it run, let it go, baby.
So like culturally, that like they'll just kind of fizzle out, burn out. People will get tired of it, and then legally, like I follow a lot of this stuff. Like another school that basically, I think it was in New York City, where they had some DEI critical theory Latino guy who basically told like white teachers, like, you're not getting promoted because you're white. Some of it that stark, where it was like, no, you're being like, you're either fired because you're white, you're not getting promoted because you're white. They're like, whatever it is. A lot of those teachers, they sued, and like they're getting paid lots of money. Like there was like legally, thank God we have the 14th Amendment, and there is equal protection, and you can't like just discriminate based on race. Like that goes both ways. A lot of people don't realize that. It's the same thing with like hate speech. Like that's not a thing. Like both ways. You can't say like, oh, it's like if a racist white cracker says something, racist against a minority or whatever, but then you have the reverse. Is like, no, that person's also still protected by whatever crimes are. Like it's still a hate crime if you attack someone for the color, even if they're white. Like if that's your motivation, if they're Jewish, if they're Christian or whatever it is, like that's still protected. So it's not a lot of that stuff. It's always like, and I do like that. I like following up, because if you don't see the follow-up, it does start to feel hopeless. It's like, well, what the hell? It's like, well, what's the point of this? It's like, no, like I think at Princeton too, a professor sued, and I think that's a while ago though. It's a couple of years ago, when this was like during 2020, he sued, and he's got either his position reinstated, which a lot of times, like believably, understandably, they don't want to take them back. They get paid lots of money, they get back pay, they get punitive damages, all that sort of stuff. So that you have to fight back, is what we've been kind of saying since the beginning of this podcast. Yeah. Like don't put up with this shit, because there are avenues for it. There's more, like there are legal firms now tailored to this stuff. Yep. Like as I said, at the same way, create a cottage industry of DEI and the Robin DiAngelos and the Max Kendrys of the world. It's like, okay, the other side fought back too. And there are groups like the Dylan Law group, I know, is one. She, like, her group like does this stuff like precisely. Yeah. Well, good. We're seeing the tides are changing. One last thing, because we talked about me coming to LA and following up. I did follow a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I was like, whatever happened to that council member in Venice, not Venice Beach. What's it? The Venice Canals area. Yeah. Well, he might have been Venice Beach also. That was like his district, where you and I were walking around. Again, this was November 2021. Mike Bonin. Yeah, it was like Botin or something like that. Botin. We were walking around and we were like, yo, this guy's going to get recalled. Like there are a lot of those signs in my favorite neighborhood in all of LA, which is the Venice Canals. We're not putting up with it. And I looked it up, and I don't think he got recalled, but he just quit. He was just like he saw, like he quit before he could get recalled, I think. Right. Or like he didn't run for re-election or whatever it was. He was just like, this isn't like he saw the writing on the wall. So good. That's it. Like fight back. And I think his thing was more about homelessness stuff, where he was just kind of letting people, like voting for stuff that would just let people live indefinitely in public and shit like that. Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. So yeah, it was Mike Bonin. Bonin, okay, yeah. A second recall campaign was launched in 2021. In November 2021, the group sponsoring the recall claimed that it had submitted blah blah blah, and so they didn't quite reach the number of signatures. However, he in January 26th of 2022, Bonin announced that he would not seek re-election for a third term, citing depression and health issues. Yeah. That's right. I remember now. Yeah. This contributed to that. No, this is after the fact, but is on October 9th, 2022, leaked audio came out that records fellow council members Nuri Martinez and Kevin DeLeon making racist remarks about Bonin and his son. Does he have a black child? Because I think so, yeah. I think because he's gay, and he's gay with another white guy. I shouldn't say it like that. He's married to another white guy. I'm assuming, I don't know. And I think they have a black child, and they were saying racist stuff. Yeah, that was, again, let them fucking eat their own. Let them cannibalize each other. But I think more of that is also, it's probably doesn't feel good to have people with signs on their lawn saying recall, like to recall you. It's one thing to see a bunch of signs for your opponent. That probably doesn't feel great either, but it's less direct. This is like, it was like every other house seemed like it was recall Mike Bonin, and I'm glad that he didn't run for re-election. Because he knew he'd probably lose. And I think the person I think the person who took his place, this is what you kind of have to do in LA. Like, she's a Democrat, but she was a Republican until like 2 years ago. Honestly, I think this is what you have to do. Like that's what the mayor tried to do, Caruso or whatever. He lost. But anyway, all right. That'll do it.
I don't think I'm gonna say fight the crits, because it seems like they're fighting each other.
Let the crits fight. Let the crits fight themselves.
It's like that actor. Is it Ken Watanabe in Godzilla? Let them fight.
Yeah.
All right.
Stay
reckless, everybody.
Stay reckless. Stay out of the crits fights.